Welcome to the winning side on Ion Sports Network. I am Liz Habib. Sitting right next to me, the legendary Rams quarterback Vince Ferragamo and Hall of Fame Rams offensive lineman Jackie Slater. What's your name again?
Jackie Slater.
I need some pizza. I need some pizza getting me into the show to get me going with that right. How could I forget?
That's okay. You didn't forget.
I didn't forget one second, did I ever? All right, so week 2 in the NFL, and the Rams and the Falcons were over at SoFi Stadium, and the Rams win the game 31-27. Vince.
Yes.
Was this a good win for the Rams?
The Rams are on the winning side, Liz. Last
Yeah,
week
they
lost
are
to
on the winning side.
They got pretty much destroyed. But this week they came back. They bounced back. And that's a mark of a good team. So
Is it really, though? I mean, was this really a mark of a good team, this game? Was this really a good win?
Well, sure. Hey, look, this is the NFL, right, Jackie? This is like a win is a win. I don't care who you play.
That's right.
But, I mean, there are some teams.
That will never change,
there are
Liz.
some teams that are a little weaker than others, Liz. But,
like
hey,
the Rams?
any team can beat you on any given Sunday if you're not ready. And I was happy with the balance they had, actually, in their entire offense, with the way they ran the football, the way they threw the ball. I mean, everything was set up. It was a good game plan. It was a good bounce-back week for the Rams.
Yeah, but come on, they were winning this game 28-3, and then the Falcons,
suddenly
28-3 was something the Falcons were looking to redeem those numbers.
There's a lot to be said about what Vince just said. This is the National Football League. And it stands for not for long if you don't have your team show up and compete to win the football game, which is exactly what Atlanta did today. The reason why I was impressed with what the Rams did was because you remember a few years ago when they had the 230-pound Todd Gurley that they served up 15, 18 times a game, and we thought it was good for the balance that McVay had in his offense. Well, what they did today was they had 2 running backs. They gave it to him about 30 times, about 25 times, and I think that was a fantastic effort on Sean McVay's part to try to create that kind of balance that he has to have in his offense, especially now with Matt Stafford dealing with this sore elbow and having to throw so many times when they lost to Buffalo. This was a good balance. I was happy to see that happen, and I think he'll be there now. We can depend on him being there. I'm not worried about him not being there now, and I think this is going to be a better offense as they go forward.
So was it a better game then for the quarterback for the Rams? He looked better. He wasn't sacked 7 times.
You know, Jackie,
he
how many?
He threw that pick in the end zone.
Well, wait a minute. He threw 75% completions. So that means 7.5 times out of 10 times he completed the ball. So, I mean, he was on target. And, of course, most of those passes were to his tight end in his Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp caught 11 passes today, and Tyler Higbee maybe 8 passes. So, I mean, that's the majority of the receptions. But they were moving the football, Liz. They were moving it at will.
And
there was really nobody in the way.
If there was one thing, Vince, if there was one thing that and you know how I am about this, I believe that the way you attack good defenders is you make them do more things. And when I looked at the running game, I didn't see that variety that I like. I didn't see counters. I didn't see BIMs. I didn't see sweeps. I didn't see those types of things. Not even the fly sweep that he's been known to break out. Yeah. So I think as he goes along and gets these young backs coming along, he's going to have to serve up a whole lot more variety to make those good stout defenses respect what they're trying to do overall.
As you mentioned, too, they platooned their running backs, too, with McPherson and Akers. You know, they got about the same amount of time, and they both kind of complemented one another, too, Jackie, because they're a little bit style, but they threw the ball a lot to Cam Akers, which was interesting to see because that's a new wrinkle that the Rams came up with this week. Cam Akers didn't play in week 1, and this week they threw a lot to the running backs. So, I mean, that makes a big difference.
This game came down, you guys, to inside the 2 minutes, the last 2 minutes of the game, right? Jalen Ramsey was the savior of the game, and he really did have Mariota's number the whole game. He really did. Well, but he saved the game for them.
I was really, really happy to see Jalen Ramsey have a kind of a bounce-back game. And, you know, a lot of what happened to Jalen Ramsey in that first game, in my opinion, had to do with just what normally happens to any individual that doesn't have an opportunity to practice and play real hard in the preseason. He was already behind the 8 ball in that he didn't play in a preseason game, and then he had the shoulder problem. He had some procedure on his shoulder, so you know the coaches were protecting him, which means that he wasn't flying around like he normally does. I think he's getting his legs underneath him now. Maybe his shoulders feeling a lot better, and he came, with a commitment. You could see that his coverages were tighter today than they were last week. So I was very pleased with his progress, and I think he's just going to continue to get better.
Yeah, but had they lost this game, right? They were coming off the opening game that everybody saw. I joked around last time we were talking about it that this was like Sean McVay's worst loss since he lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. It started looking bad during this game this week. So for me, I'm looking at it going, wait a minute here. This isn't the Bills they were playing. This is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons aren't looking like any great team, Vince.
They had a great fourth quarter, Liz. Let's put it that the Falcons did. The first 3 quarters, they didn't look much of a team, but they put things together. They were in a position. They went for 2-point play earlier in the previous drive, and they were within 6 points of beating the Rams. And they had the ball going to score at the end of the game within 2 minutes. So yes, it was a close game at the end, but the best teams prevail at the end. The Rams came up with the great defensive play.
And Vince, you and I both thought that the play selection by the Falcons head coach and play caller were atrocious.
Arthur Smith, we were trying to evaluate his coaching style, Jackie, and you have some kind of passing or some kind of coaching tree that you come from, Liz. And I'm trying to think, well, is he a West Coast kind of guy, or is he is he a running kind of coach, or is he a defensive minded coach? I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know.
You're saying what kind of tree is he coming from, like a cactus or something? I mean, like, what is his tree? I don't even know what you guys exactly are saying.
We just never felt like we knew what he was going to go to in certain situations.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is the Atlanta Falcons.
Right,
I'm focusing Rams here, that the Rams really are playing against a team like this and barely getting out of it. Yeah. It looked to me in the first half they're rolling. There was a point in which the first half I'm like, oh, this is easy. I could go watch another game. Let me turn the channel to another game.
I
know what we're talking about. It did. That way. And then we're down to the end of this game. What do you think of the play by the offensive line this week, right? We've been looking at the line. Stafford sacked 7 times the first week. We're looking at the line.
Well, obviously, I have my opinion about the offensive line.
So bring it.
Totally diametrically opposed to everything Sean McVay has done, but he's had a lot of success. He doesn't believe in playing his guys in the preseason. And in fact, I think Lark Jackson, who replaced a replacement today, probably had played more in the preseason than any of his starters. And he came in, he was probably 4th string a week ago. I think what the Rams offensive line did today, they covered up a lot of those bad issues that we're having in the passing game. And I think one of the things that helped that is the way they push the ball into the line of scrimmage with the running game. There's nothing like, and it will never change, Liz, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, there's nothing like beating the pass rush out of good pass rushers by hitting them in the lips. And I think they did a good job of consistently doing that. They served the football up, as I said, right at 25, 26 times. And that's enough. That's enough. Hit guys in the lip that many times, it will beat the pass rush right out of them. I thought the young offensive line played well. I thought Havenstein played well. And, this is the second year in the last 4 years now that Brian Allen, the talented young center, has missed a big chunk of games. So the way they move Coleman Shelton in there and Alaric and Ankrum, the way they rotate these guys in, it tells me that they've got a plan, a systematic plan of operation. They shuffle guys in where they need to be. They get the job done. I didn't see any glaring things that made me say, oh, you got to get him out of there. Okay. I never saw any of that. I just saw consistent play. Good play in the passing game and the run game.
And what helped that a lot, Liz, is the play selection that Sean McVay used. He kept the defense off balance. He tried to protect his players that he needs to protect, which is his quarterback, his skill position players, and they're a little bit, probably a little bit lax at the front of the line, the offensive line, but the way they changed things up, Jackie, and the timing of all the plays was really important, and it was one of their reasons that the line wasn't suspect and didn't really give up any sacks.
So Sean McVay, Sean McVay always takes responsibility for a loss, and he did after the first game of the season. I did see the improvement. Like you saw the improvement. We haven't talked about the defense at all, the Rams defense. What you see on the Rams defense?
Well, they stopped the running attack. I thought they did a good job.
Jalen Ramsey with the pick at the right time.
And they came up with big plays. They made the plays when they had to, Liz, and they really kept Atlanta for most of the game at bay. So their defense kind of stood up a little bit. They weren't against the big Buffalo team like what we saw last week.
That's right. It's still there. It's not Buffalo.
So a lot of it had to do with the quality of the team that they played, but they did play a lot better today.
They played a lot better.
All right. Yeah. Well, a lot better against a lot a lot easier opponent, I think is what we're looking at there. I mean, maybe it's early in the season. Maybe Falcons do more than I realized. All right, so that's it. 31-27. Rams got that one. Let's go back to Thursday because that was a game. And boy, I enjoy watching the Chiefs and the Chargers. I love those two quarterbacks. Vince, the final on that game, on the Chiefs-Chargers, 27-24, Chiefs got that game.
Right.
Chargers should have won that game.
They did. They seemed like the Chargers were in control of this game most of the entire game. I love Brandon Staley. You know, he didn't go for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
Only when he had to.
Got a better defense, Vince.
Yeah, he put a better defense. He didn't want to put his defense at risk with a short field. So he believes in his defense a lot more. He had a lot to do with his acquisitions of the guys that he got with Khalil Mack. Now he's got Derwin James. He's got Bosa at one side. They're running.
Heck of a defense.
And their defense, man, I'm telling you what, their defensive backs are playing really good. So, I mean, this team is going somewhere. They're just in the AFC West's toughest division. But it all came down to one play.
And what was that play?
Well, you know,
what
they
was
just
that play?
The Chargers were driving, okay?
Right.
They had the ball. They threw the ball to Everett, Gerald Everett. He took the ball down to the 4-yard line. He had run maybe 35, 40 yards. He was gassed. Oh, gassed. He had to come out of the game.
He was gassed. There was a moment in there you guys saw. What was the moment where you saw where he's calling, take me out? You need to get a break.
He's walking to the sideline to come out of the game. They signaled for him to go back.
They sent him back in probably because they knew they were going to throw the ball to him on that very next route. But this is what I don't understand. To me, it is almost unbelievable, unfathomable that a head coach in the National Football League practicing a team the way they practice now, playing them as little as they play them in the preseason, and would expect a guy to do what Gerald Everett did, which was to catch the ball, run after the catch, pick up yardage with 3 or 4 guys hanging on him, and then for him to stand up and tap out, and you not let him go to the sideline, then you're not. That's not realistic. This guy is not in football playing shape for a regular season game to play the whole game because he hasn't done it. He hasn't played the whole game.
Let me tell you one thing, Jack, and most people don't realize, okay? After a long game like that, you need to regroup in the huddle because you need to come back to complacency. You need to get back and have some fun in the huddle, joke around. Hey, great catch, man. Jackie, nice block. You know, and then take your time and deliver a play. They want to hurry up off it. You didn't need to hurry up against the Chiefs.
all
They're on
right.
the 4-yard line.
That
I
was
don't care if
Staley's
you
thing,
hurry
though.
up or not, though, Vince. I don't care if you hurry up or not. I care that you did not understand that this young man had no business being out there once he taps out. He's telling you that he's tired.
What did Andy Reid? What do you think Andy Reid saw when he saw that? Andy Reid had to have seen that and gone, "Oh, we got him right here." And then very next play, that was it.
It looked to me that his reaction wasn't sharp enough to make that play because the ball was thrown.
Jackie, wait a minute. Did you see what happened after the play? They threw the ball to Gerald Everett.
Oh, yeah,
it was intercepted.
He
lost his mouthpiece.
And he was standing there.
He couldn't even stoop down to pick up his mouthpiece off the ground.
The guy was tired.
He was so gassed.
This is my whole thing about, I know the National, we're going to show a little bit later, some of these helmets that the guys are using to protect themselves and that the NFL has introduced to protect players.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, the extra protection helmets, those big helmets.
We're going to get to that. But one of the things that I have come to realize is that you can't expect, particularly an offensive lineman. In fact, in my opinion, the higher the skill required to be successful at your position in the NFL, the more you have to practice that. And the way you practice that is play it in the games. You got to go and do it in the game.
Not just offensive line, quarterback, and everything.
Guys, you guys will go on. I've been listening to you guys talk like this for years. They don't play in the preseason. I really see it different now. The league's different now. That first month of play is the preseason, right? You guys are looking for these big wins. I say now, I talk now and I go, you got to wait till about week 4. Wait till about week 5. Now, if they can't win in a situation like that, now they should be in playing shape. Is anybody really in playing shape in the entire league?
Not right now. I don't think.
Yeah. They don't practice enough in full gear.
Liz, I'm not basing that statement on what I see. I'm basing that statement on 20 years of what I did.
I know you
There
are.
is no way I would have been capable of playing a full National Football League game on any given Sunday if I had practiced and played as little as these guys are playing in the preseason. There's something about...
But, Jack, even Tom Brady, asked to play in the game, so he can get some on the game experience. He's got 40
man
years.
Is 45 years old. He knows that the only way he's going to be competent down the stretch is to be competent starting from day one by practicing.
Wait, he's 45 years old. He'll never be in NFL game shape like he ever was in the past either. Let's just be honest for a second.
You might get surprised.
I know what 45 feels like. Okay, all right, guys. So that's the Chargers Chiefs. I loved it though. The AFC West is just so fun. So we're gonna have a lot of good games there this year. Let's go to the Patriots Steelers. All right, Patriots Steelers this week, 17-14. They're playing it in Pittsburgh, and the Patriots win this game. All right, it just doesn't matter. The Patriots have the Steelers number. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It's Mitch Trubisky.
Doesn't matter.
It's Mac Jones. It just doesn't matter.
I find it very difficult to believe that you, being a Patriot fan, would admit that.
Wait, you mean being a Steeler fan? You're a
she's a
Patriot
Steeler
fan.
fan.
I'm sorry.
She's a Steeler fan.
I'm a Steeler fan.
You know he loves that.
You love the Steelers, right?
You know he loves that. You know he loves
Well,
that. You know why you love
is
that?
that coach to coach or something like
That's because
that? I don't know.
Matthew's on that team.
Yeah,
Hey, we
You
all
know
root
why else
for
you
the
love that? It's because the
Patriots.
very first time I ever met you two. You know this because the very first time I ever met you two, I was like, oh, I remember you guys. I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You
Yeah.
have Jack Lambert.
right,
This is
right.
payback for those moments, isn't it? But I think the bottom line is the Steelers stink. The Steelers stink, as far as I'm concerned. Mitch Trubisky's not the man. And even in Pittsburgh, they're screaming, they want Kenny Pickett,
Yes.
right? They want Kenny Pickett. Can that happen?
He's got some pizzazz.
Could that happen?
Well,
though?
you know what? So much of quarterbacking, Liz, is your leadership. And I hate to say it, but he's only a rookie.
Yeah.
And he walked in with this kind of charm and with this kind of charisma.
I know you love
that
him.
he-
You see it?
Man, it's just kind of like it's contagious, right,
Yeah,
Jackie?
yeah, it is.
The players love playing with him.
Could he play? Could he
plays like
start?
that.
Now, you know what they would say?
you know what?
They
He
held
can play.
Mahomes back for a year. Does he have to wait a year? Could they put him in?
Well, I mean, if they want better quarterbacking than what they got today.
Trubisky.
Well,
might
they're going
wanna-
with the experience, and I can understand that. I understand it too.
And
to
they have
start that.
nothing. The organization has absolutely nothing to lose because who's going to blame them for taking a guy that was as highly touted as Mitchell Trubisky was, all that they gave up for him, and bring him into Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden, the big guy, Ben Roethlisberger, just stepped down?
Right.
Hey, that Mitchell Trubisky is the go-to guy right now. They have nothing to lose.
Right.
But if he continues to play like he did today, and even worse, now this kid sitting over there becomes the first option. You put him in there, and then you can live with whatever happened because he's a rookie.
So how many games? Okay, let's just do it like this. How many games before we see Kenny Pickett get in?
I think they're going to stay with Trubisky at least for the first quarter of the season because that's going to give Kenny a little bit more time to adapt to the NFL style, to the week schedule, what's going on game to game. And then as the season progresses along, I think they're still going to be good, but I think they could be better with Kenny Pickett, even in his rookie season. And I think by mid-season, I think you're going to see him playing.
Even in his rookie season. Okay, what about the Patriots? You want to talk about the Patriots at all? Mac Jones, the win, anything? Is there anything really much to say about the Patriots after that win?
You know, everything's a timing situation, Liz. It's all by design. It's all, what do we do best? How do we get the best results from what we have to work with? And Bill Belichick, now Matt Patricia, is in there calling the plays on offense. Maybe he should be calling plays on defense sometimes with some of the calls he makes up. But they are completing balls. I mean, and I've seen a little bit of versatility with Mac Jones. I mean, I've seen him move a little in the pocket, and he moves pretty well. I mean, so if he can buy a little bit of time until they get adjusted to the system, I think they're going to be better. And they got their running game going, Jackie.
You know, you're right, Vince. Down the stretch, I saw some passes. I saw some pass concepts that I thought, oh, that's pretty interesting. Josh McDaniel would probably have done some of that, and it's probably a holdover from Josh. But, you know, in my mind, you know, you replace a guy like Josh McDaniels with a guy comparable.
Yeah.
But what they did was they went out and they brought back Matt Patricia, who was the head coach and a defensive coordinator at the Patriots before, head coach there in Detroit, and he's calling the plays now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, how can you make that work? Well, if you think about it, if anybody knows the flaws of a particular defense as he looks at them, it will be a defensive-minded guy.
Yep.
And if you watch that game today, you always hear me talk about variety, right? Mm-hmm. I saw more traps. I saw more scoops, sweeps. I saw bims. I saw more variety in their running game than any team that I saw play this whole weekend. So
well,
Matt
here's
Patricia,
an example. Here's an example. They were in the shotgun formation, Liz, you know, shotgun. They had a back, and usually they'll run a zone read play. Mm-hmm. But they ran it, as Jackie mentioned, the left guard pulled and trapped. and they ran the play. And so it had a little different look and appeal
You know,
to the
this is
running
interesting.
game.
I think this is
So,
interesting.
I mean, that's
I
a little
think
wrinkle that most, you know what I'm talking about, Jackie?
Yes, I do.
what you guys are talking
That
about
was down
something
by the goal line.
You're not seeing anywhere else. You're not seeing on any other team at this point, is what you're saying to me. You haven't seen anything like this so far.
Well, with us having the knowledge that we have, knowing who Matt Patricia is,
Right.
knowing what he has done, knowing that he's been calling plays on the defensive side of the ball, and then to all of a sudden see him doing this. Well, the first thing is that people might say, well, what does he know about the passing game? Well, we saw some signs of him knowing something about the passing game because they threw the ball at the midfield level several times, Vince, pushed it down the field.
Well,
but the other thing was the way they ran the ball. It spoke volumes to me about the variety that this guy understands how to attack a defense.
Well, we'll
It's
see
all
what
about the
Belichick.
coaching.
Yeah.
It
We'll
really
see.
is.
It's about
I mean,
Belichick, and you're talking Patricia. All right, guys. So that's Steelers, Patriots 17-14. We're going to talk about that battle, Tom Brady. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about that battle between the Saints and the Bucks. What exactly went on there? We're going to talk about that some more. But we are going to take a break right now. So the winning side on Ion is brought to you by the National Pizza League and Julie's. Where are those dates that you were eating last
right
week?
here.
Julie's
we actually
organic
No,
medjool dates.
My plan was to have one when we took a break.
Well,
We're
there we
taking
go.
a break.
You got plenty for
Eat up.
everybody, right?
You know, we can eat these here.
Eat up.
We can eat them at the
Give me
other
one,
place.
Jack.
Well, eat them up. You are watching
plenty
the
over
winning
there.
side on Ion Sports Network and affiliated
Sweet.
stations.
Sweet, man.
We will be right
Don't
back.
you like that?